Hey, Steven.
Hey, Scott.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
You know, you get those notices on LinkedIn. Somebody like accepts their connection, and you're like, okay, welcome to my orbit. And then they immediately like, hey, we should have a conversation. I think we're going to be best friends.
Well, that's what I do. I mean, what's the point of reaching out and having a first connection if I can't build a relationship with you?
Well, yeah, but you're much more intentional about
who
you're connecting with, and
when you get those generic
and when you reach out, you've done your homework and you've researched the person, and you've gone like, okay, this person might be interested in what we have to say, and
and I genuinely want to hear what it is,
and we have some value. Anyway,
I love those conversations.
I just get these constant like.
I know. I get them too. I don't know if that ever works. If it does work,
it doesn't.
Please let me know.
No, it doesn't work. A lot of people out there waste their time. Okay, that's my rant for the day. Welcome
to our workshop today.
To our digital experience workshop
about building a journey map.
That's what we're doing.
And which the people who send this stuff should actually look at a journey map.
This is part of our digital experience workshop series. We do these every month.
Yep.
We want to elevate everybody's capability to deliver a good, wholesome, comprehensive, effective digital experience. We hope that in the next half an hour, in these monthly half hours, we just give you something to chew on. Just give you some little nugget. And you take some inspiration away, and you can make your digital experience better than it was 30 minutes ago.
I love it.
And you know what? We'd also like you to give us a call.
Anytime.
All right.
We're looking for feedback right now.
Let us know if we can help. Let us know if there's anything about these that we should do better about next time. Building a journey map. Go grab the tool. We've got a fillable PDF. It's really fancy. It looks like this. Again, meant to sort of just guide you through the thinking. We're going to explain how this works. We're going to come back to the tool. At the end, we're going to really walk through building a journey map so that it can be used effectively. So flyw.co/dx-journey will get you that PDF. Or maybe you'll want to use one of the other tools that we mentioned later in the conversation. So let's start with the basics like we always do. Digital Experience 101. Make sure we're all talking about the right thing. What's a journey map, Stephen?
I'll tell you what a journey map isn't, because I just had this conversation twice.
Okay.
We've already had our discussion, and I literally had a discussion with someone who has watched our other workshops, and she's a friend.
Yeah.
And I told her we're doing journey map.
Okay.
And this is not personas. This is not a use case. And a lot of times,
but we talked about personas last month. So
so when we're talking about a journey map, a lot of time there's a confusion between the two, because what I see is people will put a persona together, build the use case, try to build a journey for it. But
in the description of the persona.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is not what a journey map is. A journey map is a way for you to look at your customers or clients and identify journeys from an emotional and logical standpoint.
Yeah, it is how they engage with your business. Now we're going to talk about it from a digital perspective, but hey, teaser, you don't have to do it from a digital first perspective. This can, in fact, a good journey map includes some of the offline engagement that you've got, right?
I was literally going to say, like, when I've done it, I've always started with offline as well. Especially if you have sales reps involved, to just say, hey, where do you see it when you're doing any type of, first conversations?
So let me tell. I'll put you on the spot again. Did
Okay.
you read the deck ahead of time?
No,
So it's been a little while since
it's
you
been a
brushed
little
up.
while. Yep.
All right. So what? I won't advance the slide. Why do we need journey maps, Stephen?
Why do we need journey maps? Do you want a better conversion,
Mm-hmm.
retention?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want a smoother customer experience?
Yep.
You need journey maps.
Yeah, that's good. I think that that's a good high level
Oh yeah.
outline. I think some of the pitfalls, some of the reason that this doesn't happen is the utility of it's not obvious. It's like I don't need a whole journey map. Like I just want somebody to come to my website and shop for my widgets and put them in my cart and or download my white paper. It's not like there's nothing to it. Or I only have one target audience.
Yeah.
I don't really need to over engineer this. So it's just not seen as terribly practical.
What I normally see too with the pitfall is it is important in 2025. I can't remember if it's Forrester. I'll look it up after and I'll put it into the comments. Journey
You
mapping.
got that, guys? He just okay.
There we go.
Right.
Journey mapping is one of the highest level productions for 2020 for the year 2025.
Where did you read that?
I don't know, like 2 months ago. I was doing some research.
All right.
And the reason is because a lot of organizations are not buying new products or not trying to they're trying to really enhance what they already have.
Right.
And that's what digital journey mapping is. It's not. And so the pitfall really becomes, I always see companies trying to come at it from a software perspective.
Yep.
They follow what the software prescribes.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
No names of software out there, but they follow that. And to me, that's probably the worst way you can go about it.
Couldn't agree more. Don't let the tool dictate your process or your approach. Make sure you're designing this from a desired outcome, intended behavior perspective first, and then figure out how to adapt your user journey to it.
Yeah, and especially from a stakeholder perspective,
Right.
it's really valuable to get stakeholders involved in this one.
Yeah.
Normally when we're starting an engagement, sometimes you don't really want to have too much in a project because I know companies get rather, I don't want so many people cooks in the kitchen.
Good point.
But in this one, you want to have as much information as humanly possible to make those journeys relevant.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can overdo it, but I get your point. Like you want an informed journey, right? You want an informed. Yeah. Okay.
Because not everybody takes the same journey.
Yeah.
Right, especially B2B.
That's on the slide here. Don't assume that it's the same path for everyone.
Yeah,
I think one of the other errors here is describing the ideal journey versus the actual journey, and make sure. Okay, so you kind of need both, right?
Yep.
When you're starting out, what do I want users to do? Where do I want them to go? How do I want to influence that outcome that shows me my journey? But when you're trying to do some improvement, when you're trying to optimize that, you need to know the actual journey.
Correct.
So you do need to look at your analytics. You need to figure out how are users currently engaging with my digital experience and what are they doing? What's the path they're taking? Where are they coming in? Where are they going? How are they getting distracted? Where are they falling off? What's happening online? What's happening offline? That's the actual journey, right?
Yep.
And having the ideal available to you helps you do a bit of that gap analysis and figure out whether that is something you need to fix for or whether your ideal is just too utopian and whatnot. But I'm going to come back to a point you made just before you were sort of explaining the journey map the way you were. You talked about a lot of people right now are looking at refinement. Right?
Yes.
We're not trying to reinvent everything all the time. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of tech debt that people are wrestling with right now. How do we get the most out of what we've already got? And that reminded me that we forgot to plug our Digital Momentum Summit that's
Oh,
happening
yeah.
on June the 3rd.
It's
So
coming
I'm
up
gonna-
really quick.
I'm going to very quickly like squeeze this in here. Please, if you're interested, join us in the room in person in Toronto on June 3rd. We're less than 2 weeks away now. It is going to be a great event. We got Scott Brinker, VP of Product Ecosystem at HubSpot, kicking it off in conversation with Sarah Fatz from Progress Sitefinity. We've got a really awesome day. We're going to be doing some customer success stories. I tell you, Tourism Barry has got a great story about a lean team really accomplishing some pretty impressive stuff.
Yep.
We're going to get into how to boost, the ROI for digital. We were just on a call with Znode, and they were just, tossing around some of their current thinking, account-specific engagements, journeys,
Content,
that kind of
commerce.
stuff.
Yep.
How to make sure that comes forward. We're going to have Bill Rogers on stage. I'm going to be having a conversation about unlocking AI and lowering some of the barriers and addressing some of the friction points to adoption. We've got Stefania Virali talking about strategic digital storytelling. I'm very excited for this one. Going to be like lots of good nuggets in there. And we're also going to be having a conversation about when is it better to buy your solution versus build your solution.
And who better to have that with than
we've got a couple of we've got Stacey Randall from Abode and Heather Kira from IPFS, a couple of clients who have kind of done a mix of both. So
great lunch.
And
don't forget
food
the great
is good.
lunch.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So flyw.com. Oh, and listen, we'd love to have you in your room. There's only a few. There's maybe half a dozen seats left. Use the code Flywheel at
Capital.
the checkout. Does that have to be capital?
Yep.
Okay. All caps, Flywheel, and your seat's on us. All right. If you're watching this, you get some exclusive access to that event. All right. Back to journey mapping. I think we've covered some of the common pitfalls here. Let's get into why we want to do this. Okay. We've talked about this a little bit in the preamble, but and you touched on it when we asked what is it, and you mentioned the sort of emotional side of this. I think we've been talking about it in sort of the logical steps. It's almost like a user journey, right? What's the word for like the user experience? Anyway, user flow.
Yeah.
That's not
workflow.
That's not it. At a basic level, it's got to involve that emotional component as well. You want to make sure you're representing sort of where do people get excited, where do they get concerned, where do they get really rational, where do they get really intentional, where do they get motivated, and guess what, Stephen? The journey doesn't end at the point of conversion.
Correct. Rehash.
Yeah.
That's an old sales term. McDonald's. I want to upsell you on the fries.
Well, that's not what I mean, but
the customer, right?
But your journey with your prospect, your customer continues after they do engage with you, right? So then there's onboarding, and there's customer success, and there's turning that person into an advocate for your brand as well.
In my mind, they're more important.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good. I guess it depends on where you are in your cycle, but
yeah.
So it's also helping you find some blind spots.
Yes. And again, I want to reiterate, because I love the word emotion.
Yeah.
I was kind of hesitant, I think, the last time we did this. But when I look at it now and having the discussions that I've had, everybody's got analytics.
Yep.
So you can kind of understand intention. You can see what people do.
Yep.
But really with emotion, you got to go ask.
Yeah.
You can't just assume. Like, none of that's going to come out of an analytical dialogue until you kind of go out to maybe the customer base, the stakeholders. You have those discussions to kind of build that ideal journey and see if it works.
Yes. So let's get into the next slide is covering those points that you just made as well. It's outlining the user interaction that they have with your digital experience, with your business.
Mm-hmm.
It formalizes the path that is used to arrive at a desired outcome, so that you have something to manage against.
Yes.
We talk about content strategy and sort of a broadcast versus a conversational approach to this. It's really being intentional. And the the past slide had the word blind spot on it because a lot of times we're executing a content strategy or content campaign. And if you can quickly, regularly reconcile what you're doing against the journey, did I forget to support a certain part of the journey? Have I fallen into the trap of always communicating content that is top of funnel kind of material? Have I, oh my gosh, it's been 6 months since I did some onboarding collateral. And, because like you said, it's very important to maintain those client relationships, those existing relationships that you work so hard to get in the beginning, but they're your biggest advocates sometimes. So having a journey map there to compare against helps you make sure you don't develop some blind spots for critical parts of your journey. You made the mention briefly a couple slides ago about it's nonlinear. It's not always that you start at the beginning of the book when you're doing a digital experience, right?
100%, especially with the clients that we deal with B2B.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag because without naming names, but a B2B organization could have like a massive dealer that they work with versus a small. And those could have different business units. They could be coming in different ways. Some could be wanting like a completely different, model for what they need.
But they also are going to Google to begin, right?
Exactly.
And then Google's not going to say, well, you should start at this company's homepage, and then you should click 3 things to get to the information that I know. No, they're going to take you straight to the page that contains the answer to what you Googled, to your search query.
And that's not even bringing up AI.
The journey might not even happen on your website. It might not even happen on your social channel. It might happen through another agent, another chat experience that you essentially have very little control over. You have an influence on the information that's available to that chatbot, but you can't really control sort of the contextualized conversation.
Correct.
Which means this is a new reason to really be intentional about this. AI has the ability to search the web, but the database, the large language model, has been trained on historical information.
Correct. It still uses keywords in a sense.
So it does know sort of when to go fetch.
Correct.
Contextualize current information, but the only reason it knows to go do that because it already had an understanding that your product or your service existed to begin with. Does that make sense? So you've got to start now making sure, and there's actually not a lot of difference, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, debate about this in another conversation, that AI optimization is not all that different from SEO.
No, and it also depends on, it's going to move in that direction as well, because a lot of organizations are going to want a little bit of control of what goes out.
They're talking. Okay, we're a bit off topic here, but there is markup that's being discussed to support those kinds of experiences and what's presented and shown to a user and all that kind of stuff for AI. But you need to remember that if we're going to tie this back into building journey maps, that the non-linear part of this is based on a foundation that you probably laid out intentionally, formally, or not a while ago.
Correct.
And so you also have to make sure that you're currently thinking about how to build on top of that foundation that again has already sort of been laid down.
And again, that's why we create content management plans, and you're putting the journey map in there so that you can identify. I'm a huge proponent of taxonomy within journey map,
like structured content. And
so if I have a journey that I want, I have a taxonomy. Therefore, when I see pages, when I see content, I'm able to ensure that taxonomy for the journey is there. And so if people come into a middle page, there's still a taxonomy that can be seen to get
like a content
Yeah, a
categorization, right?
content
So a taxonomy is
categorization.
like, oh, it's kind of like saying this is it's kind of like layering in personas at that point.
Correct.
It's kind of like saying this is the type of user that's come in. They're interested in this category of content. Let's make sure there's a bit of a through line there to keep the
Yeah.
engagement consistent.
A simple one is products, right? So
Yep.
you have a product detail page that gets acquired by Google,
Yep.
and they type it in, they get to the detail page, but you need something to say, hey, go back to here
Yeah.
if you want the story, go forward if you want me,
Right.
right? If you
Yep.
want to contact us, you
Yep.
need kind of the both, and you need it on every page. So, because there could be a detail page within a detail page, depending on how like
Yeah.
we have Tormont, we have different
Right.
organizations that have
Yeah.
multiple pages.
So looking more specifically, let's make this real. Okay. So up on the screen here, and I'll actually just back up a slide. Overview, we use a tool called UX Pressia to build our journey maps. And it is swim lanes with sort of different properties and criteria that define that particular moment in the journey. We're zoomed out here, so let me again advance, and we'll zoom in. So at the top, we've got the description of those moments in the journey, and this is a linear representation, but you do need to sort of think about some interconnectedness. And for a particular persona, we do have a reference persona here saying, yes, this is the type of user we've got in mind right now. We might have more than one journey that we're using. You can get really academic about this. You can kind of get, carried away in the exercise. Okay.
That's never happened to me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Never.
No.
So
I'm a nerd.
So watch yourself. The
Yeah.
point of this exercise is to help you
Absolutely.
build a better digital experience and to help you think about how you need to achieve success and how you need to drive the right outcome and how you need to influence effectively in the right way and how you need to filter for getting the wrong person out of the way. That's a big part of it too. Like,
Yep.
right? Like, hold on. Like, we talk in our persona presentation about anti-personas, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, I've actually never done this, but it might be like the wrong person needs to be sort of anyway. Okay,
Correct.
I made my point. Back to this. You might have multiple journeys to represent the fact that there's a nonlinear component to this. So in this case, and these columns and rows are all dynamic and can be changed to help you do this in a way that's appropriate to your business. There's no specific recipe that works for all businesses, although what we've got here is a good starting point.
I've seen sticky notes.
Right.
I've seen everything. So
we've got in this case processes and channels as one of the engagement touch points here that we're representing.
Flows.
This is where we can say like, oh, it starts as a face-to-face conversation. So in the B2B world, I was just on a call this morning with a finance company, and for them, it's all about just brand elevation. It's just about reputation and making sure that when my team goes into a high context pitch, that the people on the other side of the table, have a good resource to go refer to after my team walks away.
Yeah.
Right. So it starts with those engagements. Never, hardly ever start with a Google. They start with relationship building, personal outreach, networking events, face to face, and then the prospect, the user, is then starting the digital step of their journey, right?
Yep.
So it goes from awareness to, let me discover, let me research, let me get deeper on this, and ultimately, in that case, we're not even looking for the website to transact a classical conversion. You're just looking for it to raise confidence and bolster reputation, right?
Yeah.
And so if in that case, the desired outcome might be something like a certain amount of time on site, a certain number of repeat visits. It might be you downloaded our white paper. It might be you put yourself on our insights list, that kind of thing.
Correct.
The other part of this, so if we then zoom in again, we do have this experience line in here, which comes to the emotional part. It's like,
Yep.
let's be real and honest about the mood of our user in this engagement. And we've kind of been talking about this from a top of funnel perspective, right? But we keep making the point that it doesn't stop there. It's like, if this is a journey for your existing customers, maybe you're mapping out a customer support journey. Maybe you're making sure that your website can give different options and help people find their way through a knowledge base. And they might come in frustrated, and they might leave, satisfied, not delighted, right? Like, that's a win.
Yeah.
So I think it really helps to sort of represent that here and remind ourselves, like, and then after after purchase, there might be a little bit of a dip in satisfaction. So helping us remember that current sort of mental state is part of a good journey map. Okay. We're almost at the bottom of the hour already.
Wow.
We mentioned UXpressia.
Yeah.
That's a persona journey mapping building tool. We use it. We like it. If you know of any others, let us know. There are some others out there. We've kind of settled on UXpressia. Miro, there's a whole bunch of these
For mind mapping,
yeah,
all that kind
like
of stuff.
digital-
It's just more flow based.
Yeah, digital whiteboarding.
Yeah.
We use, okay, so then it comes into like tracking the current state of
Correct.
the journey. So UXpressia, Miro, tools like that are for capturing ideal state or formalizing the capture of
The gather.
Yeah. Siphoninity Insight has in it capabilities to see the actual journey that somebody's taking as they get towards a conversion. It can be based on personas that you represent digitally. It looks at your content and the ROI that you're getting from individual touch points that you're building in there.
Yeah, and you can see it quickly, and you can actually get a good output from an analytical point of view.
And from a B2B perspective, like we got I can't remember, it was last week or this week. We got an inbound lead through our website, and right, and then you get the email and you just click the link, and you can see
what they've done,
the journey.
Yeah.
Okay. So
absolutely.
And in one case, somebody just came right in. Somebody had told them, you need to talk to Flywheel. Their journey was about 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
They came in, they clicked a few things, read the homepage, went to the contact page, filled out the form, conversation started.
And we've seen another one.
In another case, it was like a month long. It was
Yeah.
like they came in, they read a case study, they left. They came back, they read a case study, they left. They came back, they read some blog articles, they left. They, and then got in touch. So it's super helpful for that. So that's Siphoninity Insight. Google Analytics has a lot of this data too. It's a little bit, it takes a bit more of a PhD to unpack the data that's in there and really understand.
It's robust, but it's kind of like you can throw everything in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
And then you need somebody to unpack it and make it what like you
it's
want.
Super powerful. We use it all the time on every website. The downfall is you then get lost in the data.
Yes.
It's more of a data mining endeavor than it is.
And is it the data that you need?
Right. And then you see a data point and you get distracted by it, and then you realize it wasn't the rabbit hole you should have fallen down to begin with.
And a lot of times I'll go in and see organizations that have hired a company, and the data they're seeing is it's not really useful.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Because it's cookie cutter for them.
And then, of course, I did add a couple slides about AI using ChatGPT to do this. It is a wonderful thing. You can start with just prompting for help me consider a wholesome journey map for my website and give it your homepage. And it's probably not going to give you a very, it doesn't, in the cases I've tried. However, it just gets the juices flowing. It gets the thought exercise going, and then you can use it as a thought partner, right? Which is one of the most useful ways to take advantage of these things. And then I like asking it, like, okay, I know there's non-traditional things, and I could think about them hypothetically, but what you do when you prompt the AI, it's got the context of the business that you're analyzing, and it will think about some things that are appropriate for the the context that you're in.
Yeah.
You can give it a little bit more direction about some of those non-traditional journeys, but it helps just think outside the box.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, that was how to build a journey map, folks. You should all come to our event. You should all sign up for our newsletter so that you should all follow us on LinkedIn so you don't miss another one of these.
And reach out to us because we'd love to get a little bit more feedback. I'm taking feedback right now so that we can come back and have conversations about that in these workshops.
Yeah, sure. Work in some of the real questions that we're getting. Yeah, love it. There is a lot of hesitation, nervousness in the market right now. I've got a plan for the future. I don't know which way to go. So we are definitely working that into our initial engagements, health checks, strategic planning canvas.
This is the number one that has come up over and over again. Journeys.
All right. Catch you next month, everybody. Thanks.
Take care.